We're getting some new details about the late Frank Gifford. We're now learning that up until his death, the former New York Giants star suffered from the chronic brain disease that plagues so many former football players. Gifford was the husband of Today Show host Kathie Lee Gifford. Today, the Gifford family released a statement which reads, "While Frank passed away from natural causes this past August at the age of 84, our suspicions that he was suffering from the debilitating effects of head trauma were confirmed when a team of pathologists recently diagnosed his condition as that of chronic traumatic encephalopathy. The degenerative brain disease is also known as CTE. Studies have linked repeated head impact to the disease and have forced the NFL to fund more research aimed at making the game safer for players." The Gifford family went on to say they will donate his brain to science, hoping to advance medical research of the disease. Here with me now is neurologist Dr. Michael Chachere. It's great to see you, Dr. Chachere. When we're talking about this CTE, what are the symptoms? How would a family suspect that perhaps Frank Gifford was suffering from it?
Well, CTE is a type of dementia, which is kind of an umbrella term. Alzheimer's is a type of dementia, for instance. And memory loss, problems with personality, anxiety, things like that can spur off a family that something could be going wrong.
And my understanding is that you can't diagnose it for certain while someone is living. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Why?
The clinical diagnosis, it can be done over time. It takes about 1 to 2 years potentially to really diagnose someone with a type of dementia. The reason you can't diagnose it until someone has passed away because they have to actually do a brain biopsy and look at it under a microscope to really say that the protein that's damaged in dementia is actually there.
Is there any way to alleviate those symptoms, to treat the problem itself if the suspicion is there that CTE is a culprit?
Unfortunately, there's no treatment for the underlying primary cause of dementia of any type, whether it's Alzheimer's or CTE. But you can treat some of the symptoms. For instance, if someone has anxiety, depression, things like that. There are also some drugs that actually can moderately or minimally help memory, but it does not treat the underlying cause.
Frank Gifford is not the first football player that we've seen donate his brain to this specific cause, or his family doing it on his behalf, to this specific research. What might researchers learn by having a brain with CTE to test and to do further studies with?
Well, there's a lot of research in the field of dementia in general, and they need more brain tissue to be able to test these types of proteins that are malformed and kind of blocking the neuronal networks. So the more tissue they have, the more experiments they can do to hopefully spur research into either helping a cure or at least treatment.
Michael, we just saw just this past weekend a really tough hit out on the field where a St. Louis Rams player, Case Keenum, got hit. He went on, he stayed in play. We found out later he had a concussion, but that kind of approach, for you as the doctor, does that cause concerns? Does it raise questions in your mind about whether NFL players, to say nothing of college and high school players, whether they're safe on the field?
Well, it always has to be person to person, player to player to really say how much risk that people are at, because potentially there's a lot of head trauma that does not clinically can be diagnosed as a concussion, but can be subconcussive. So people can be getting minor injuries over time without having traumatic hits causing really bad concussions. So everyone is really at risk at the NFL level, regardless.
People who have had suffered head trauma multiple times in their life, whether through car accidents or boxing, or I'm thinking about victims of domestic violence. If you've suffered head trauma continuously, might you also be at risk for CTE?
Yes, any type of blunt head trauma over time. One minor concussion is not going to cause CTE, but multiple small concussive or blunt head trauma in any fashion can be at risk for CTE.
All right. Dr. Michael Chachere, thank you so much for your perspective.
Thank you.